everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Eva Rosie. In today's video I'll be sharing with us how to make a mermaid skirt or 6-paneled skirt. So if you're new on my channel, you're welcome, and to everyone returning back, I want to say thank you for coming back. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to draw the lines which will guide me through the pattern drafting. I'm drawing that center line for a demarcation between the front and back panel, and I'm going to draw the side line which will guide the length of the outfit as well as the starting line. Now I will be inserting the measurement that will be needed for this drafting. For the waist circumference, I'm going to be using 28 inches. From my waist to my hip length, I'm going to use 8 inches. The hip circumference is 40 inches. Then from the waist to the knee length, I'm going to make use of 20 inches, and while the full length of the skirt is going to be 40 inches as well. And I'm going to square these lines across. Now you can see we have the waistline, the hip line, the knee line, and the hemline. That is the full length of the skirt. Now on the waistline, I am going to insert the waist circumference of the outfit, which is 28 inches divided by 4. That will give me 7 plus 1 inch for the dart measurement, and I will insert 8 inches. Now for the hip circumference, the formula is your hip circumference divided by 2 minus 1 inch. You take your hip circumference divided by 2. I'm going to be making use of 40 inches divided by 2, which will give me 20 inches minus 1 inch. And I will have 19 inches, and this is just for the front panel. Now I will take the 19 inches and divide it by 2 because our fabric is on fold, and I will insert that at the hip line. I will repeat the same thing on the nail line as well as the hem line. The reason why you have to remove 1 inch from the front skirt is because the back side is always bigger than the front side of the skirt. Now that we have the basics, so I'm going to connect the lines from my waist down to the hemline. On the waistline, I am going to find the midpoint from the center front line, and I will insert the dart line, and I'm going to connect this line straight down to the hemline. So the dart measurement for the front panel is 4 inches from the waistline down. And I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides of the dart line from the waistline, and I will make my connection 4 inches after the waistline down. In order to construct the down part of the skirt, which is the flared part, we are going to mark 2 inches above the nail and draw a line across. Now we have the basic bodice for the skirt. So now I am going to fold this pattern and transfer whatever I have towards the other side to construct the back panel for the skirt. I'm going to trace everything out with my tracing wheel except the dart measurement We used 4 inches from the waist down, but for the back dart we are going to make use of 6 inches. Now, in order to draft our back panel, if you can still remember, we removed 1 inch from the front panel because the hip part of the front and back are not the same, so we are going to return that 1 inch. The formula is hip circumference divided by 2 plus 1 inch. So I'm going to return the 1 inch and connect it at that center level, that is the midpoint between the knee and the hip line, and I will take it up to the waistline as well, as you can see. And now I can insert my zipper allowance. Though I'm not supposed to do this right now, but we are going to adjust it as we proceed. So for the dart measurement, you remember we measured 4 inches from the waistline down, so I'm going to add 2 inches to that and insert the 6 inches, mark half an inch on both sides of the line and make the connection 6 inches down. And that is our back dart measurement. So now coming to the side of the front line, as you can see, I'm going to go up by half an inch. Then towards the center front of the skirt of the front line, I'm going to remove an inch and connect it up to that extension that I have above the waistline. Then I will repeat the same thing on the back panel, but we're not going to remove anything at the center front of the back panel. So we'll connect it to the original waistline of the back panel. For a normal basic skirt, you can do it this way, just because you're not going to cut it through. But if you're going to cut it through, this will not be necessary. So you just fold that area and run a stitch through it without cutting through it. But if you are going to cut it through, just like what we are trying to make, this will not be necessary. So it's optional. If you want to make a basic skirt, you can go for that. You just fold it and run a stitch on that line. So because we are making a mermaid skirt, it looks curvy, and for us to achieve that, that is 2 inches above the knee, we are going to go in by 1.5 inch. It depends on your preference. If you want yours to be very curvy, you can use 2 inches. But in order to make it standard, I'm going to use 1.5 inch, and I'm going to connect it at the midpoint between the hip line and that knee line. And I will repeat the same thing on the other side of the skirt. Please ensure to blend it with your curve ruler so it will come out fine. Repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Look at the connection that I made towards the down part. I came up by 5 inches and connected that slant at that level. Now I am going to cut through each panel and remove the excesses, then we can start with the extension of the flared part towards the down part of the skirt. Because we are making 6 panel skirts, when you get to the dart level, just remove the darts because we are cutting them through. If it is basic skirt that you can run your stitch on top of the dart, that's fine. So this will not be necessary anymore. So these areas I am marking at the moment are the areas we are going to have an extension of the flare. As well as the zipper line, the back panel of the skirt, we are going to do the same thing. Now to the front panel, I'm going to take the first panel from the 2 inches above the nail length. I'm going to have an extension of my pattern paper, and I'm going to connect from that line down to how wide I may want it. So I'm going to be making use of 4 inches. It depends on your preference and how wide you may want the down part to be. But I'm going to be using 4 inches. Then I will connect it 2 inches above the nail, and I will remove the excesses. I will repeat that on all the panels except at the center front. This second panel, I'm going to do it on both sides, 4 inches on both sides of this second panel. The first panel of the outfit must be on fold while cutting your skirt. First panel will be on fold, that's why you don't have to add it on both sides of the first panel. So the third panel, I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to add it on both sides. Now at the second panel of the front skirt, I'm going to go up by 1 inch, as you can see, and I'm going to connect it with my curve ruler. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the first panel of the back skirt. This will make your skirt to fall nicely. And I will remove the excesses. So now to the back panel, that is the zipper line. As you can see, I've not really added the extension of the flare. So now I am going to add it as well. This is optional. You can make it to have a very long tail. It depends on how you want it. If you don't want it to have a very long tail, you can just connect it and stop at the same level on the opposite side of the flare. So it is optional. So I'm going to show you how you're going to run it, how you're going to connect it. If you want it to have a very long tail, you will still connect from that 2 inches above the nail. You're going to go in by 1.5 inch as you did on the other side. Then you make your connection. So if you want it to have a tail, you take it down, you place your ruler like this and connect it. Hope you can see that. But if you don't want it, you just connect it at the level where the other side stops. So from there you can now extend the zipper allowance and make your connection. After connecting, you remove the excesses. So if you want your skirt to have a band, just cut the band, and you're going to put this into consideration as you are cutting your skirt from the start. So but if you're not going to have a band, you can skip that and use the full measurement that you want. So if it's going to have a band, I'm going to cut a band of 1.5 inch width and 0.5 inch seam allowance and 28 inches waist circumference, as well as the 2 inches for the overlapping. So while doing this, ensure to place your fabric on fold. The upper part is going to be on fold, as you can see, and our band is sorted out. And this is what your skirt should look like at the end of your drafting without a tail. And that will be all for now. Thank you for watching. If you are yet to subscribe, hit on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.